Hi everyone, my name is Clark. I'm here to teach you about how to use alignment, how to do layering. So we're just going to be going over those couple things. I hope you learn, hope you have fun. Let's get started. Okay, so first thing we're going to talk about is alignment, right? So alignment, it's all in the name, right? So alignment is literally just where on the page is your content and is it lined up with other things. The main idea of alignment is it's basically a way of just making your slides just not look really disorderly and really messy, right? So we already have two components on this default title slide here, and you can tell that they're aligned, right? So, and the way you can tell, a really handy feature that'll pop up on PowerPoint is it'll show you when it's aligned. See how when I moved this top text box here over the bottom text box, these dotted lines on the sides here will show up. I'll show you that they're lined up, right? But for instance, say they're not the same length, right? Say this one's much bigger, right? So that means if we wanted to center it, we just kind of move it around slowly until bam, that dotted line down the middle shows up. And that's how I know when they're in alignment. So for title slides, using center alignment is fine and it works well. But you don't really want to do this too much with your other slides, right? Because generally you have a little bit more content to talk about or just generally a little bit more content to like have in your slide period than just like a title, because otherwise you kind of run out of room pretty fast, right? All you really want is center alignment for the title slide. Everything else, it's not going to work and it's going to look funky unless it's like one thing that you have. So, okay. Right, so that's alignment more or less. One of the most common sort of slide designs generally is you'll have like a picture and then a text box, right? So you'll have, let's make this look more like a normal title slide again before we move on, because it's going to bother me otherwise. So then we can use our fancy alignment tools again, right? So we just kind of move it around until we get into the middle there. Yeah. All right. So now we have our title, we have a nice picture, and then we have, let's see, we want to add more text box so we can answer this pressing question of what a llama is. Okay, so we have our slide, right? This is a common slide design, right? So if you really wanted to make sure that everything was all lined up, right? So we would move this around, and so this dotted line up at the top tells us that it is aligned with the title text box, right? So that dividing line there at the edge of that title text box is right there, and so is this, so that's why that line shows up there. This part kind of shows up, right? So this dotted line here also shows us that it's aligned with the image at the top, but this line here at the bottom shows us that it isn't aligned with it at the bottom because it's a little bit too far down. So you can always try and make it shorter by cutting out some text, but all this text matters. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to just make the llama bigger, right? And so when I did that, you see that dotted line to the left showed up, which means that it's aligned with this title text box here. And so we have a beautiful slide right here with a beautiful llama to boot. So this is a great slide. And that's why alignment is important, so that your slides can look neat like this. Maybe have a little bit more relevant or tangible information, but I think it's important what I have here. So, all right, moving on. So that's alignment. Just keep an eye out for where the dotted lines show up and use them because they're very handy. Okay, so on to the next thing. Next, we're going to talk about layering. So you can layer objects by clicking the Arrange button on the Home tab, right? So that will allow you to sort of like rearrange objects how they are relative to each other. So say I wanted this text to be superimposed over this picture of a llama for some reason. What I could do is I could bring it to front, and then I could, bam, put it over this picture, and I might have to make it a little bit smaller in order for it to fit, but and then we can just bam and bam. And once again, we use our alignment tools to see that, yep, it's aligned with the picture, so boom, beautiful. But of course, in keeping with good design principles, we want to make it legible. That's not how you would go about making it legible, because the background for part of the picture is also light, so maybe we want to highlight it or something once we want to present it, but this is fine for now. You get the idea. So this is the text box when it's brought to front by the arrange tool. You could also use this if you for some reason wanted the picture to be in the front, and then bam, send it backward. So it's all gone now, but if you're worried about it, don't worry, bring to front. So you'll notice that there are a couple of different buttons here that mean slightly different things. So the bring to front button means that you're going to bring, in this case, the text box to the very, very front. So every box or component in this entire slide is in a certain order, right? So even if it's not like actually overlapping with any other boxes or components, it's still in an order on the slide that's sort of kept track of by the PowerPoint app, I guess. So at this moment, this slide, when we press bring to front, right, that means that slide is on top of everything else. If we were to send this llama picture to the back, that means it's last in the order. So theoretically, if we were to move this llama beneath the title, it would be behind the title, because the title is in the middle. It's like in a sandwich with the picture of the llama and the text box beneath it. So that means that if we were to bring this text box over the title, as you can see, well, barely, as you can see, it goes over the text of the title. So that can be kind of cool and useful for if you're doing stuff like if you wanted to make like a collage of some sort, or maybe if you just wanted to like keep track of your text boxes and like, do some kind of cool image editing type stuff without actually getting into image editing or whipping out PowerPoint or whatever. You could use it for that. Really all kinds of stuff. It's just vaguely helpful. Okay, so I'm gonna make this legible again. Okay, cool, very nice. So we have, again, our beautiful llama slide. That's gonna be everything for this presentation. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned a lot from it.